Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
The City of Sigourney is accepting applications for a position of full-time certified police chief. All applicants must be currently certified as a peace officer and must meet Iowa Law Enforcement Academy requirements for the position, which requires testing. Salary will range from $65,000 to $75,000 and will be dependent on qualifications and experience. Offer includes a $5,000 sign-on bonus plus a full benefits package. Request an application from the Sigourney City Clerk at 100 North Main Street in Sigourney. Applications and resumes will be accepted until the position is filled. The Brooklyn Opera House in Brooklyn, Iowa presents Iowa country artist Jake Simon along with Blake Jack and South 35 in concert on Saturday, September 21st at 8 p.m. Tickets are just $25 and available through Eventbrite.com or use the QR code on your screen. That's Jake Simon and Blake Jack and South 35 Saturday, September 21st, 8 p.m. at the Brooklyn Opera House. Don't miss it. Retro Antique Tour Fall Edition is coming up Friday, September 20th and Saturday, September 21st. Embark on a shop hop adventure designed for people to discover hidden gems in shops and communities in a well-organized and distinctive antique shopping experience. With participating businesses in Oskaloosa, Pella, New Sharon, Beacon, and Ottumwa. For more information, visit brushedbyjude.com and click on the link for the Retro Antique Tour. Or reach out via email at brushedbyjude@gmail.com or call 641-660-2536.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. Of course, I am your host, Never Wrong, Nick Bull. Joining me is my co-tag team champion. He's another year older, folks. He celebrated a birthday this past week. The one, the only, the Wizard. Wiz, how you doing?
Man, I'm a little sleepy. I think you know why.
You're older. You're older.
I'm
older.
I'm an old man. I'm an old man. But I'm doing good. Well, I think maybe because we were up until about 3:30 in the morning, managing some shows, managing some WCW shows on 2K24.
Doing some serious business. Doing some show prep, I guess you could say, right?
Hey, we Booker's life never ends, right?
That's right. Well, we're glad that everybody here is on board for another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast. Of course, we are powered by Low Pies Pizza. We're built by Durham Remodeling. We're colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and we're protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. So glad you're along with us this week. We're very thankful this week that our guest is joining us. He recently suffered an injury, had some surgery, but is toughing it out and is joining us. He is definitely a prominent name in the independent scene here in the Midwest. We know him from Dreamwave, from AAW, from Zawa, just a few promotions I can think of off the top of my head. This guy's matches are a treat. I can't wait to pick his brain on some things. If you see one of his matches at a show, it's usually one of the most physical matches for sure. And I've never left a show saying, hey, that was a bad match of his. Usually this man has a good match, and we're so happy to have him on the show. He's rehabbing right now, so we're extra happy he's here. Please welcome the one and the only Hartenbauer. How you doing, buddy?
Guys. How we doing?
We're doing good. I've noticed you're kind of laid up there. We'll get to that in a little bit. We're going to put your mind at ease here and hopefully talk some wrestling. We're going to kick it off. I'm going to ask you what I ask every other first-time guest on this show. Why pro wrestling? What got you hooked? At whatever age it got you hooked in, what was it?
For me, it was always the larger than life aspect of it. So growing up, I liked the big the big 300 pounders, the big juiced up the guys that now today you're like, maybe maybe not so great, but that was the stuff that I liked. I liked the pyro. I liked the entrances. I liked the big moves. And of course, the storytelling.
Of course, storytelling is one of the best parts. Is there a particular wrestler or story that you can remember that really got you hooked?
Specifically off the top of my head, like when I first started watching, I was at that prime Monday Night Wars. But I mean, the NWO was big for me.
So were you a WCW guy during that time or a WWF guy?
So I was both.
Okay.
I know some people are like, oh yeah,
sure.
I loved both. I was the one that was DVR, not DVR at the time, but
VHS.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I would flip. I'd had multiple TVs in multiple rooms, and we would go back and forth because you had that first hour of just WCW, and then it's like, oh man, gotta get the VCR ready just in case, and switch back and forth during commercial breaks. So I loved them both.
It really was the best of both worlds with Raw and Nitro. I try to explain to people. Nitro came on an hour earlier. So you watch the first hour of Nitro, and then I would flip over to Raw because back then TNT would replay Nitro right away after. So you just
after. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was so awesome. I missed that time. Yeah. It was such a great time in wrestling.
It was a great time for everything. Like
it was.
I've been so nostalgic lately, like looking I've had time the last couple weeks, but just watching just different YouTube videos of like just everything from like my childhood, like just like the action figures, like Pokemon cards. Like I don't like actively collect anything right now, but I'm just like looking at all of the stuff that I used to collect when I was that age and how it's all come back. And I don't know, it's just really nostalgic lately. And yeah, that's the Monday Night Wars were like the peak of my childhood.
What's old is new again.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanna follow up. You mentioned the NWO. Were you a Wolfpack or a Hollywood guy?
Wolfpack for sure. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I those were my guys growing up.
What was the crystallizing moment in your life that said, I have to do this?
I wish it would have, and I'm sure everybody's story is different, but I think now you hear, the kids are starting when they're 15, 16 years old. And I think maybe it's with social media, and there's more reputable schools in the area, or at least, in the Midwest as a whole. But I didn't get in until I was pretty much, I was like 25, 26. And I don't think it was it's now or never type thing, but Dreamwave was offering, I actually went to a few Dreamwave shows as a fan, and they were doing some seminars, and it was, no experience, all experience levels, whatever it was. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it. Cause I would go to a couple of the after parties, and, I would go up to a couple of the guys, oh man, when I was a kid, and I mean, now I have people do that to me at shows. Oh, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a wrestler. I'd like to get in there with you. Okay, well, go ahead, come help set up a show. I'll help you out all I can. But, so I was doing that, and then it was like, okay, well, I've talked about this long enough. I'm going to try it. And I think, we're coming up on 13 years since that happened. And I think at that time, had you told me, okay, you're going to try this, you're going to get one match in front of a crowd, you're going to be introduced as the hometown guy, um, and especially, and I'm sure, you guys might be able to relate to this, but like, I don't have the same friends that I had when I was 18 years old or when I was in high school at all. Like,
Right.
so when I was like 25, 26, I'm like, oh man, I don't have any friends or family or anybody. Like, nobody's going to be like, cheering for me or anything. But it's like, if you'd have told me back then, okay, you're going to have one match and then, maybe fade into whatever, I probably would have been like, okay, cool. That'll be awesome. I tried it and it was fun and it was a chapter of my life. I don't think I ever would have guessed that it would have been this big of a part of my life.
What would the Hartenbauer of today, you say, about 13 years ago, you approached this and wanted to do this. What would the Hartenbauer of today say to that Hartenbauer back then 13 years ago? What would you pass down to that younger version of yourself that just getting into it and just getting your feet wet?
I would say to dive in further, because at first, I was very lucky to be around the people that I was around. Not everybody comes up at a Dreamwave. Because some of my first times outside of Dreamwave at indie shows, some of the things that I was seeing and hearing in locker rooms, I'm like, I'm glad that I'm surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded by.
Sure.
And then not even that, but I mean, I think like the first time that I wrestled outside of Dreamwave, I think there was 7 people in the crowd.
Right. Right.
And you have to do those things.
Sure.
You have to do those things. You have to travel. You got to get in cars, not knowing if you're going to get paid, not knowing if you're going to be a security guard, not knowing if you're going to be a referee or if you're just helping set up and tear down. I would have told, I would tell my younger self that, knowing what I know now. But again, I don't think I looked at it like, I don't think I was like, I'll be alive when I'm 36. I'm 37. See, I'll be alive when I'm 37, let alone still wrestling. So I don't know. Some people just think, differently. So I think I would have told myself to dive in more, because for the first probably 7 years, I just did maybe 1 or 2 shows a month. Okay. As opposed to, hey, you can really, make a name for yourself, but you gotta, and everybody has their own different path. So I guess I wouldn't change anything, but I would definitely say, hey, don't worry about work. Don't worry about whatever it was that I was putting ahead of wrestling back then. At the end of the day, doesn't matter.